back of the rim. Got it! Oh, the slam! Oh, using Curry way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry!
I think I've just witnessed the weirdest ending to a season that I can really remember, and it's interesting because right now you have a lot of people, I don't know if I would say defending Dallas, but basically saying, hey, other teams have tanked before. You have the Blazers that have been doing it for the last month of the season. This team has done it. And yes, I get it. The Mavericks not the first team to tank, but there are some key differences that just make this different than the Blazers sitting Dame and then playing guys you've never heard of. First things first, we know, we've said it 100 times, they made that trade for Kyrie. They were desperate. They've been needing to get Luka like a legit star/superstar player. And although Kyrie could end up being just a rental, they went for it. They were one of the few teams that were desperate enough to make that move, and they did so. They did that in February. Obviously, we're sitting here in April, and that has not worked out. It was never going to work out at a championship level, but you got the issues that you just really normally get with a Kyrie Irving over the last few years. He missed a lot of games. He and Luka never really got to get on the court together for a consistent amount of time. It's just this weird thing. It's not always even Kyrie's fault. It's like Kyrie is there and then the other guy is gone, or the other guy is there and then Kyrie is gone. It's not just here. This is not just a Dallas thing. But yeah, that failed to the tune that they had fallen to the play-in and then below the play-in. Here's where things get weird. As we get to the end of the season and there is still a chance for them to get into the play-in, we start hearing rumblings that the Mavericks might pretty much just throw up the white flag. And you know what? That part I get. Normally you can see a tank job coming from a mile away, but for the Mavericks, I think maybe there's a detail that people didn't get. They actually have a chance to keep their top 10 pick if they're bad enough. And so they've kind of been gripping with that over the last few weeks. And so you get to this last week of the season and they realize, look, we basically have to win every game and we need some help from the Oklahoma City Thunder to just even get to the play-in. They get to the play-in, they come into the playoffs as an 8 seed or 7 seed, whatever it be. They're not winning a championship this year. They simply did not have the roster for that. They don't have the chemistry for that. Hell, they don't have the coaching for that. So they get to the point last night where they say, all right, there's some guys resting, there's some guys quote unquote injured, and then we're gonna put Luka Doncic on the floor for part of the game. As it ends up happening, he plays 12 minutes and 35 seconds. The starting lineup was Luka, Jaden Hardy, Dwight Powell, Reggie Bullock, and Frank Ntilikina. I don't even know why they played Luka. It's like they were tanking and then they just wanted to say, hey, but here's also our star player who's kind of getting to the point of disgruntled. And it was just all really weird. That game ended in the most symbolic way I could think of for a team with the type of season that Dallas has had. A lot of ugly shots from guys that I think a lot of NBA fans probably hadn't heard of if you don't keep up with the G League or other prospects. Just a very, very strange ending to a strange season. And now things get weird because the Mavericks have a lot to grip with. It's kind of hard to imagine a Christian Wood returning. That was a guy that, yes, you have questions about his defense, and I think Mavericks fans had even started to turn on him as Rockets fans said that they would. But even with all that being said, I just cannot ignore the fact that there were times this guy should have been playing and Jason Kidd was just being weird with his minutes throughout the season. It is a very strange situation. Either way, that's a thing. With Kyrie Irving, I'm not exactly sure where he would even go. The Lakers seem happy with their point guard situation. I don't know if they want to create a space for Irving, knowing basically what you know about him and what happens when he joins your team. If it's not the Lakers, I really don't know where else he goes. And for the Mavericks, they have to beg Kyrie Irving. And that's where it gets really interesting because Mark Cuban had some comments about guys and their future and what might happen this summer. And when it came to Kyrie Irving, his comments just sounded a little bit non-committal. The Mavericks are not in position to be anything other than fully committed to the guy that is hopefully going to help you keep Luka, because what happens now is if Kyrie is gone, who's available this summer? Who is the game-changing player that you were going to sign to help Luka compete? Who is the game-changing player that with your current assets you were going to trade for? I mean, they kind of already did that. They did what they could. And so another season of his young career is gone. The Mavericks made a random Western Conference final run last year with a roster that really wasn't that great. Didn't get a chance to sign Jalen Brunson or re-sign him, according to Mark Cuban. Meaning that more or less, this franchise is back to square one. those of y'all who follow me enough remember what I was saying about Donovan Mitchell about a year or two before it happened. I've been looking at my watch menacingly now concerning Luka Doncic for about half a year, coming up on a year. They have this summer to make a legitimate splash, and I know he's early on in his extension, but it's a star-driven league. These guys have the power to get where they want when they want. The Mavericks are on the hot seat after the weirdest ending to a season that I have seen in some time. And being that they have one of the greatest talents ever on their roster, I think they have a little bit more of a unique situation than a Trailblazers team that should have been tanking before this season. To me, that's kind of the separator. The Blazers should have traded Dame. First of all, they should have traded him years ago, but they, especially with what could have possibly happened with Wembanyama or Scoot, they should have restarted before the end of this season. That's different than a team that just got to the Western Conference Finals and has a player that I believe is a top 10 or 15 all-time talent in the future, and they've already been fumbling his time there. And yeah, this is all just, it's extremely weird. Well, that's all I really had to say about this, because I'm in the middle of moving and it is a mess. My entire setup right now is so ghetto. You'll probably be able to see it on my other channel once I get a vlog out. I'm going to figure that out alongside the playoffs, because yes, those of y'all who watch us on playback.tv/dom2k, you know we are going to be there every day of the playoffs watching playoff basketball together. The link is in the comment section and description, so please join us. This is going to be a fun few months. And yeah, let me know what you think about the Mavericks. Hit the like button and sub, because once again, we are closing in on 400k. It's a long road, but let's get it done. Remember to hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops, and I'll see you all on the next one.